Hi, Sebastian. Hi, buddy. You're a good boy. You feeling all right? Poor Sebastian had an ear infection last night. It was a long night. We had to get him taken care of and get his medicine in so he'd calm down. He's a good boy. Oh, you got your missile taken care of you. What a good girl. Well, to make you feel better, Pappy, we got a big pork roast for you. Yeah, he's a big pork roast, Pappy. Big old pork roast for my Pappy. Oh, he's a good boy. Oh, he's the best boy. Let's do it, buddy. He's wagging. He's wagging. Oh, he's my big boy. I got you. Welcome back to another Cooking with Pappies. I got my sweet boy. Mwah. He's doing great. He's feeling a little rough today. He had a bad ear infection last night. Mwah. I kept him up. I'll put you down, buddy. He's a good boy. So we got to take care of our babies. It's every day in our house as it is, but of course. Oh, hi, mistletoe. We got a jumper. You want to come up to? Come here. Come here, baby. Come here. This little pork chop is 70 pounds now. Maybe a little bit more this week, I don't know, but she's growing, she's doing great. Mwah. We're having a great time. It's a nice rainy day today. Of course, as you just saw, Sebastian had a bit of a rough night, and we want to try and make him feel a bit better. He's already playing and growling in the background here. He's got his little mistletoe. They're having a good time together. But all this playtime, it needs calories. They need calories. We need calories. And especially when you consider the number of recalls and everything else that have been coming through, especially on canned goods and things like that recently for dog foods, why wouldn't we be wanting to try and explore some better options? And for us, that means cooking for the whole family. We're going to make food for ourselves that we find delicious, but is also tasty and nutritious for our dogs to consume as well. And that comes down to a lot of simple things as far as how you season the food, what kind of herbs you may or may not be using, and it's a great way for us as people to kind of cut down on salt too. Everybody loves salt, of course. Some of us maybe a little more than we should. Higher blood pressure, all the things that come with too much salt. Dogs in particular really need to have a limit on the amount of salt that they're taking in. And like today, we're cooking a big pork roast. Pork naturally has a lot of sodium already contained within it, so we really don't need to add to that. But thanks to the little bit of research and a little bit of understanding, we can figure out how to add plenty more flavor through things like herbs and maybe some sauces as well that can make this pork roast on its own delicious, but then bring it up to a whole new level that even the dogs, of course, won't be able to turn down. But again, it becomes a meal for the whole family. We're all together, we get to eat it together, we get to enjoy being together. So today, from Myers, we love them. They're just an amazing brand, an amazing grocery store. Their meats, their produce, everything is always beautiful, top quality. We've got a 9-pound pork roast that only costs $13. It's kind of outrageous in our opinion, but it's going to be a good long day roasting in the oven with that. And when it's done, we'll then turn the heat back up and we'll roast the butternut squash while this is resting in the pan. Usually needs a good 30 plus, especially at 9 pounds. I think 30 minutes might not even be quite long enough to rest. So while it's resting, we'll get the butternut squash going. But for right now, we got to get this guy into the oven and get it start cooking. Now the girls are playing, and it's going to be a bit of a noisy show today, but we're going to get it done, and we're going to see just how beautiful this roast can be. Come on with us. So we've got our pork roast ready here. We need to go ahead and just get this guy cut open, get the juices out, and get the whole thing into our big roasting pan here. We've got this wonderful fat cap on top here. You want to have this top side up versus having this down, and this will help all of this fat to slowly distribute as this roasts. And of course, being a shoulder, you do have a bit of a bone here too. So although you're weighing 9 pounds, maybe a little bit less than that, the bone isn't that big, but nevertheless, that's a big hunk of meat. Everybody's gonna love eating, and it'll last us for days. I mean, that's the other thing too, is that although yes, this is a big, not too expensive of a roast, but we'll make it last. And the value comes through in that, especially when you're feeding 3 big crazy dogs that can't stop playing at any given time unless they're sleeping, recharging, put them back on their chargers, the little puppies. But we keep our hands washed, we keep this guy looking good. I'm not going to do anything to it. I'm just going to go ahead and start seasoning it. Alright, we've got a roast out. I'm being followed by a slew of puppies. They're all around me. Hi, babies. Hello. We're going to need to get a camera for on these sides here because they can't be seen, unfortunately, but my puppies are always with me. Hello, buddy. Good boy. All right, so we're going to get some herbs, puppies. And just going back to the old, good old-fashioned basic Italian seasoning. It's got a blend of herbs. All of these are safe for dogs to consume, many of them beneficial. You're talking about things that they can help with preventing cancer, basic illnesses. They can serve as anti-inflammatory. There's a whole lot of different uses for wonderful herbs. So besides for making things taste good, they also just help everybody's overall health. So why not load up on them? You know, like anything, there's a limit. You want to use some things sparingly. But nevertheless, this is a 9-pound roast. It's going to be consumed over many days, so we can go ahead and really give this a good thick herb crust. You know, if you saw the chicken drumstick video from the other day, I went real light and real sparingly on that. Simply because there's only so much meat there, but with this big honking thing, sky's the limit, I think. I don't think we can really do anything wrong here, so let's make sure we got plenty of flavor. And just a good, delicious crust that'll roast in the oven. Got it set for 425 right now, and we're going to let this roast for about 25-30 minutes to go ahead and kind of sear the outside edges, try to keep as much of the juice contained inside so it cooks more evenly. That's the other thing. You get the benefit of the nice crispy crust on top, but you're also helping, especially with something so big, to reconstitute and recirculate all those juices more evenly during the roughly 6 hours of cooking time that this is going to need. So it's, you know, again, it's a big honking piece of meat. We got our herbs, we got that covered. Again, the squash will go in after this is done cooking because we're going to start at 425, but then we're going to drop to 325 for the remainder of the cooking time. That's a little too low for the squash, so we'll wait for this to be done, and then we'll take care of the squash and then have everything together. And whether you're cooking for dogs, cooking for humans, if you're in the kitchen and you're cooking, you got to keep your hands clean. Always wash your hands, and especially when you're handling meat and whatnot, every chance you get, wash your hands. I'm going to add a little bit more on here, just because it's, again, this is just such a beautiful piece of meat. Thank you, Meyer, for providing something so good like this. And not to say that this was provided by them, it's simply we shopped at their store and purchased this. We're just so proud and so pleased to see this kind of quality available, and it's taking care of our family. Thank you. I just want a good, healthy, thick layer. This will just crisp up so beautifully in the oven. It'll add so much extra flavor to the pork. And I really love it too with pork shoulder. It's called pork butt. It's not the butt, that's your ham. That's actually the butt of the animal. The shoulder butt is the front shoulders. And this is also where a lot of your really quality capicola, I believe, types of Italian cured meats and whatnot comes from, is this cut of meat. And you know, they say that pork is the other white meat. This is an example of one of the cuts that if it turns white completely, you overcooked it. It's gone too far. There should be a little bit of pink, maybe a little bit of not quite white. Let's call it that way. And you'll see it when we get it out of the oven in 6 hours. Into the oven we go. So we've got 425. We're going to do it for 30 minutes. To go ahead and give it a good sear on the outer edges, and then that way we can drop the temperature down after that and just let it slow roast and do its thing. Hi, Mistletoe. You excited for dinner? It's gonna be delicious. How about you, Petunia? Little Luna Petunia, you're a good girl. You're a good girl, Luna. You got your ball. Get it, Mama. All right, well, now that it's been about an hour, let's go ahead and pull this out. Got juices already rendering out. And one of the main things we want to do here is go ahead and keep basting. Now, some people want to use the little plastic stopper, the little turkey baster style attachment. That works too. I find those to be a little too much of a pain to clean. I like just a big old soup spoon, nice and simple. Put this back in the oven. And there we go, keeps cooking. Sweet Vera. This is our first baby, our first rescue. Mwah. She is 15 years old. She is looking great, doing great. She's gonna get to have a little pork too. She loves pork. Actually, I think it's her favorite cut of meat, even more than like seafood. Sweet muffin. But we love her, we adore her. We're keeping her around forever. She's staying healthy and staying happy, which I think is really the most important part of all of it. But yeah, 15 years and going strong. Get it, girl. Sweet Vera. And now that we're getting a bit closer to having the roast done, it's time to go ahead and start slicing up our butternut squash we're going to have as our side. And we're just going to roast this in the oven. And why I actually want to get this done now, right before we have the pork roast finished, the seeds of the butternut squash can be roasted as well. When you take your butternut squash, you just want to scoop out the insides. Be gentle, you don't want to tear up all your seeds, of course, because you're about to separate them, dry them, oil them, and put them in the oven. Nice little crunchy snack, but it's convenient that they roast at 325, same temperature as the roast we're doing. But as you can see, it's very straightforward. You're just scooping out the insides of the butternut squash. Want to separate out the seeds. You're going to plop those down with a paper towel, whatever you got handy. Just want to dry them off real quick, add a little bit of oil to them, and then they go in their own little separate tray to roast, conveniently at 325 degrees, the same temperature that the meat is cooking at right now. So we're just going to give it a hair bit of overtime just to really make sure it's cooked all the way. And in that time, about 15 minutes, maybe even a little bit less, the butternut squash seeds will be roasted, ready to go, and then we'll be able to go ahead and put the whole squashes themselves in. And they'll take about 45 minutes or so, but those will go at 375 degrees. And with the seeds separate, we'll go ahead and toss these in the oven, also at 325. And while we've got it open, let's go ahead and pull out our roast one last time, baste it one last time. Oh yeah, that's a pretty solid crust developing on there. But you can see after almost 6 hours, there really hasn't been that much juice rendered. The searing kept most of the rest in. Again, this is a 9-pound roast, so it's done just fine. And we'll finish it for the last... At this point, let's just put it at 12 minutes. We don't want to overcook the seeds, especially with them being on the bottom rack. And we'll get it done. And we're just past halfway. Oh, there we go. That's exactly why we're checking them. The seeds are flying out of the oven already. We just want to give them a quick stir. So you want to just toss them around. Make sure they're not getting burnt on one side and that they're all getting redistributed back into the oil. And then back in the oven for the last couple of minutes. All right, everything should be done. Let's first start with the pork on top here. Oh, beautiful. Look at all that. 9 pounds of majesty and beauty. Oh, we got a few seeds out on the bottom of the oven here. Let's grab the spatula and... Oh, the roast looking so beautiful. Now time to cover it. And let all those wonderful juices recombine as much as they can anyway. And we're going to go ahead and raise our temperature, 375 degrees. And we'll go ahead and get our butternut squash in. That'll roast for 45 minutes while the roast rests. And then we'll have dinner. Sweet Luna. Hi, honey. You're a good girl. Oh. Look at that sweetheart. Oh, honey. You're a good girl. It's cooking. I promise. All right, and we're right at the end of the cook time here. Boom. Get the seeds out of the way. And let's see how the squash is looking. I think we have some squash. Pierce it with a fork, see how it's doing. Yeah, no, that's good and tender. That is done and ready to consume. Now we just gotta let it cool down, Mama. We don't want to burn our sweet little puppy mouths, do we? So, we're gonna let these stand for a minute, Mama. And then we're gonna go ahead and slice up the pork. And we're gonna put it in your bowls. And then it'll be ready to put the butternut squash in. And it'll be puppy dinner time. All right, we can start divvying up our pork here. This has been sitting and resting. A lot of the juices have already recombined into the meat. That's the whole purpose of resting the meat after you've roasted it. We'll set that off to the side. We got our meat slicer. And we're just gonna dive right in here. Yeah, I hear you, baby. I know you're hungry. It's dinner time. This is gonna make some happy puppies. And a happy Alex too. I'm pretty hungry. I've been smelling this for the last 6 hours. This is one of my favorite meals. I love roasting things. Vegetables including, potatoes, everything, but there's something special for me with pork. The flavor of it, I think it's just my favorite meat. Can't go wrong. And bacon comes from there. Yeah, you know, might be a little biased, I can't deny it. I know, Sebastian. He loves his bacon too. You're a good boy, buddy. But this is it. We just slice up our meat. Let the butternut squash cool for a moment. We'll slice that up. And we'll be taking the skin off there, of course. The skin is edible, but especially for dogs, it can be very difficult to digest. So just don't even give it to them. We can go ahead and slice this up. Just slice it into longer chunks here, that way it's easier to kind of etch out the flesh away from the skin. That is difficult for the dogs to chew anyway, or to digest, excuse me. There we go, peels right off. Boom, first chunk in. Beautifully roasted, nice and tender. The smell is just so wonderful. You had, so many hours of the pork roasting, but now you got the nice sweetness of the butternut squash. It's really pleasant. It's a nice little change after having had the oven going all day. It's coming, sweetie. It's coming. I'm cutting as fast as I can, baby. Sweet little mistletoe is ready for her puppy dinner. Mama's ready. Pappy's laying. They're all sitting here staring, watching me. And as always, we keep using our standard kibble just as a good baseline nutrition for our dogs. Always add some more on top. Giving them a nice big dinner tonight. They really, especially on a rainy day, they are ready to take a nap, so they really don't eat very much earlier in the day until they get hungry for dinner. So have at it, puppies. Is it puppy dinner time, Pappy? Is it puppy dinner? Does this look like puppy dinner to you? Look at that beauty. You ready, Pappy? You hungry, mister? All right, let's do it. Come on, Sebastian. Hi, Luna. You're next, baby. Here's for Sebastian. Chew it up. Oh, he's a good boy. Good boy. And then Luna. Here, little honey. Watch out, Missile. Here, Luna. Good girl, honey. Chew it up. Good girl. Mistletoe. Mistletoe. There you go, sweetums. Chew it up, baby. Good girl. And so there you have it. Another delicious meal, safe for the whole family to enjoy. And that really came out wonderfully. It's crisp on the top. There's really a lot of extra flavor this time. I think this was a very fatty cut. Dogs can certainly use it. I probably don't, but that's all right. I'll make sure they eat plenty of it themselves. At any rate, butternut squash, pork roast, very inexpensive meal, and this will last us 4 days. Feeding 3 big horse puppies, and of course our little Vera, she's going to have a bite of it too. She always loves pork and bacon and ham. She loves it all. But just taking care of the entire family, feeding everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you so very much for watching. Well, that looks like one empty bowl. Oh, there's a couple of pieces of kibble in that one. All right, I'll let her go. And another one. Those are happy puppies. You gonna finish that kibble? You gotta finish that kibble. There's kibble in there, sweetums. Honey tin. I love you, Luna. You're a good girl.